ready to go meet with a PR agency to meet people. Look at her, she's thriving. When I came back from Dublin, she was dead, and I just drowned her in water and she perked right back up. I'm about to go to the park with the mermaid. I just want to go sit on a bench and be in the sun. I'm gonna finish Le Soleil discorda. I have 15 pages left and it's breaking my heart. I cried 5 minutes ago about it. It's an absolutely incredible novel and I'm so happy to be reading in French. I just got this top this morning. It's so cute. It's from Rosamund. My Sunday Somewhere sunnies and my Gani jeans. They're the best. I love Gani. I'm also on my period, so I'm exhausted and emotional, so I'm like shouldn't be reading this type of book right now. Does this have? I will literally die. Okay. Good evening. I ventured around the most beautiful park earlier and I finished my book. I have shivers all over my body just thinking about it. My first French book I've read in ages. Now I remember why I enjoy reading in French so much. It's such a poetic language. I think it really lends well to philosophical books or like stories that are more aimed at conveying a message than conveying like a story. There's a word to describe every single emotion, every single feeling, every single thing. The amount of verbs in the French language is mind-boggling. If any of you have read Albert Camus, I feel like that's just the epitome of how I view anyways French literature, in the sense that it's often like this story, but it's not about the plot. It's not about what's gonna happen to the character in terms of is he gonna beat the bad guy. It's more what's gonna happen to the character in terms of what's he gonna learn about himself, like how is he gonna overcome this and that, how is he gonna find happiness. Lots of French books are all about the quest for happiness, bonheur. And that's what Le Soleil discorda was all about. It's put me in a very reflective mood. A book hasn't put me in a mood like this in a while because it's an intergenerational story. It makes you reflect a lot about how fleeting time is, just because every character is only alive for a certain amount of pages and then it's on to the next. I was really touched by a part I read today. I was actually very emotional reading this book, honestly. One of the characters is sitting on a chair watching kids play and he hears the kids say that the limit of their game is where the old man is sat. This guy just like looks around him and he's like, what old man? And he realizes they're talking about him. I don't know why that passage like really took me out, honestly. I feel like I've been having a hard time on exchange being present as much as I try to be, just because there's so many trips planned and so many things happening all the time. I just feel like I'm living in constant anticipation of the next thing or in constant planning, and it's hard for me to just feel really present. And just generally in life, I have a hard time doing that, and I have a hard time not being grateful but feeling grateful for things that I have, and I feel like I'm always dissatisfied. And reading this book really put things into perspective, because all these members of this family are vying to get out of their poverty and not rise to the top but do better, give their children a better life. Some of them die feeling like they spent their whole life putting sweat and tears into work that ultimately didn't make that big of a difference in their lives or their children's lives. It just made me think about how sometimes it's so easy to get kind of lost in feeling like you always have to do more work, make more money, this and that, and then you wake up one day and realize that you spent your whole life just trying to accumulate things and wealth, and for what, you know? And then also, I'm a very nostalgic person. Every time I think about like time passing or just look back on memories and stuff, it gets me in this really bad place. I think it's fueled by this fear that I'm never gonna hit my stride, or that I'm not doing that old version of me justice. Like, nostalgia is all about making the past out to be this kind of better place, if that makes sense. And so I think that sometimes when I look back on memories and stuff, I'm like wanting to return to that time, wanting to return to simpler times, but the reality is they weren't really simpler times. That book, honestly, I could cry right now just thinking about it. It's so freaking good. It kind of flipped a switch in me of just like, stop putting off things, stop sitting around waiting for things to happen, be an initiator, and make your life so that when you're older and you're looking back on things, you feel good about it. And that's not to say you always have to be doing things and always have to be productive. I think it's more just like day to day, try to do things that take you away from what's comfortable and from being inside on a screen. And so yeah, Brie and I are going to Bottega Barley tonight for a late dinner / drinks. That's me trying to just do little things here and there, make life more fun with the little things. It doesn't always have to be a grand outing. today's outfit. We've got Aloha shoes, Brandy jeans, and then American Vintage sweater. The coat is also from American Vintage. I adore it. We are going to Atelier September. It's a really nice place to work. I want to edit, read, and write some scripts, get the ball rolling on some videos because I know that I won't be really working that much in Portugal next week. Also need to do schoolwork and go over slides from lectures. So I actually might do that because I'm so behind in school and finals are coming up quite quickly. So I just want to be on top of that. Let's go. After finishing Le Soleil d'Escorta, I began Death in Her Hands, expecting a My Year of Rest and Relaxation look-alike and getting anything but. I instantly appreciated the protagonist being a 70-something-year-old, as I had never read a book from that perspective. The constant reflecting on her past and how she chose to live her life was honestly just what I needed in that moment to further encourage me to strive to live my life the right way and to not waste my days by filling them with worry or by sitting around, and especially not by spending them surrounded by people who don't bring out the best in me. The story follows Vesta's investigation after finding a note in the woods near her house that notifies her that a girl named Magda has died and that no one will ever know who did it. Having moved to a remote cabin in the woods with her dog after her husband passed away, she dedicates her whole life to finding out where Magda is and who has murdered her, and attempts to solve a mystery out of nothing more than a piece of paper and her imagination. Sprinkled into her mission are realizations and reflections about her life path, an unfaithful late husband. It's definitely not the most obvious book, and by that I mean lots of moments are quite confusing as Vesta is not the most reliable narrator due to her faltering mind. However, it's definitely a very thought-provoking one, especially because the ending is so open to interpretation. Give myself the goal to watch a couple movies this week and just get into the beat of it so that I can write my final paper and not like die, because I just really haven't been doing school that much. So yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. It's really interesting. I love film, so I like learning about it. The next morning was a difficult one, to put it lightly. I got 2 hours of sleep before I had to get up and make my way to campus for a field trip. Work hard, play hard, kids. No, I'm just kidding. This was quite out of character for me and I do not recommend. I honestly don't know how I managed to stay alive throughout the day, but I did, and it was actually super enjoyable.
Onion on my phone. Oh wait. Can you hear it?
We went to Helsingør to eat and to visit the Maritime Museum, which had a fascinating exhibition on the Hainio, or Women of the Sea, diver fisherwomen of Jeju off the coast of South Korea. This matrilineal society within which women free dive to collect shellfish and maintain a sustainable economy is a beautiful example of how small communities can care for their own. Then we made our second stop at the Louisiana. This is my favorite museum I've ever been to. And I don't care if I've said that before for a different museum, because this time I mean it more. Seriously, the coolest place. I told everyone I wanted my wedding reception here, and hopefully I won't have to settle for any less. I'm just kidding. We started by walking through the Dana Schutz exhibition. We didn't have the most time, so I feel like I only really got to appreciate her works when I came back with my parents weeks later. My initial takeaway was that I loved the grotesqueness and how focused on imminent issues like climate change her art was. The emphasis on human relationships in her works, paired with all the colors and the kind of goofy and cartoonish depiction of humans, really drew me in. I'd highly recommend stopping by if you get the chance. That night we grabbed sushi and went back out for round 2. Yet another rainy morning warranted yet another coffee shop date. We tried this new cafe where I got a cardamom bun. I love how fragrant these are.
It's like cardamom.
We got Lebanese food for dinner. This place is great for a casual dinner and comforting food in a warm atmosphere. Okay, breathing. Oh, sorry. My bad.
I think they're really cute.
What is going on here?
The one eyebrow.
What are your thoughts?
I like the honey. Have you ever had those like honey balls, those Greek honey balls?
No.
It tastes like the Greek honey balls but with pistachio in it. That was
March 27th was a snow day. Therefore, as snow days usually instruct, I stayed inside all day, apart from running some emergency errands and attending our girls' date night, which no snow day could ever stop from happening. Good evening. I edited for most of the day. It was snowing. I read my book this morning. So far, so good. I'm still like kind of waiting for something bigger to happen. It's kind of reminding me of the feelings I felt when I was reading My Year of Rest and Relaxation, where I was just kind of like getting impatient. But I'm not that far into it. I really like reading a protagonist that isn't young. A woman in her 70s is just refreshing, like a different perspective. I'm really liking it. I'm going to dinner with the girls that I met last week. I'm so excited. We're going to Cantina, which is an Italian restaurant. Yeah. This is the fit. Peachy Den top, Gani jeans as always. My whisk bag, very simple. I'm just going for like classy but casual. Let's go.
I did everything go to Rooftop and then I'm getting whatever.
That's where that's from. It's
Hey, what's in my bag?
what's in my bag.
The next day, we had a gin and tonic happy hour on the rooftop. It was fun to concoct our own cocktails and dish it out as the sun set all around us.
That is massive. Open.
Oopsies.
My God.
Sorry. That's yours.
Look at it.
Great.
What's that?
My last morning in Copenhagen before heading to Portugal, I grabbed some cakes and matcha with Isabella and Marina before stopping by the Baum showroom to pick up some goodies.
Yeah, I always get so confused.
I'll see you next week in Portugal in the sun. Finally, thank you for watching.